Hey, Golden Eagles, it's time to talk. I'm your host, Adrian Bennett de Avila, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Marisa Vasquez, Tahiti Salinas, Joshua Letona, and Richard Tzul. For those of you who don't know, I'm the sports editor for the University Times and the station manager for Golden Eagle Radio. Joshua Letona is the entertainment managing editor for the University Times and the programming director for Golden Eagle Radio. Marisa Vasquez is the editor-in-chief for the University Times, and Richard Tzul is the news managing editor for the University Times. And as I mentioned earlier, today we're also joined by Tahiti Salinas, a staff reporter for the University Times. We are recording this episode on Friday, April 17th, around 2:38 p.m. And you can see our show when it airs on the University Times website at csulauniversitytimes.com. That's csulauniversitytimes.com, or by searching for Golden Eagle Radio on the Radio FX app. Time to Talk is a show that brings together Golden Eagle Radio and the University Times under one umbrella to discuss campus news and issues, campus sports, entertainment, and anything else that connects back to Cal State LA in some way. Coronavirus is still a part of all of our daily lives, and it affects all of us. It has even affected the way we are doing this podcast. Normally we'd be recording in the GER studio, but now we have to do this podcast via Zoom, so we maintain social distancing. Now with all that out of the way, let's move into our first topic today. The Cal State LA Engineering Department recently developed a map of the world that calculates things like how many people have been diagnosed with COVID-19 in various countries. Tahiti Salinas is developing this story, but it should be up on the University Times site when this airs, so I'll pass it off to her. Tahiti, what can you tell us about this?
Yeah, well, this story is honestly going to be pretty big. It's pretty big for our school as well. The technology that they're using is honestly astounding. I was talking to the girl, Dahlia, who actually developed it, and yeah, so she was telling me about how she was inspired by a similar chart that was made by Johns Hopkins University. However, she didn't like the fact that it wasn't as accessible. So considering the fact that, many of the charts only show the information that they need to show, and she wanted to create one that was interactive enough so that people could basically just check out how it's going, so how this is progressing or how this is declining in terms of the cases, the deaths, any confirmed ones, any new cases that have been coming up. And so the chart is pretty interactive enough so that way you can go ahead and just scroll through it, look at it, click on the areas that you want to check out. It shows you worldwide the cases, and they are updated daily. So the data that is on that chart or map essentially is accurate all the time, pretty much. So they created that, and it's pretty great. Yeah.
What do you think people can take away from the site? Is it just a way to track things around the world, or is there what other features does it involve?
So yeah, one of the main things was that she wanted to make sure that everybody was informed, that everybody knew the cases and how they were progressing worldwide. They can check any location really, so it's really more of an informative tool. And it also, on top of that, predicts a 3-day forecast of how many cases can be added on. So essentially, they can obviously predict up to 10 days, 20 days, but the most accurate could be 3 days. That is what they're working with right now. And as of now, the chart is pretty informative, and it helps out so that way people can see how the curve is being flattened, and how the CDC has been enforcing these social distancing guidelines and how it is that they're working. So it's a very informative tool, so that way everybody can be informed on how that curve is being flattened.
Cool. You might have already mentioned this, but is there a site people can go to check it out or anything like that?
Yeah, so it's actually under our Cal State LA page. It will be linked into the article that will be published probably once this airs. So yeah, you can definitely find it on there, and it should be COVID-19 interactive data visualization chart or dashboard, I mean. So yeah, once you find that, you can go ahead and play around with it and see what you can find.
Right on. I want to open up the floor if anyone else wants to comment on this, or maybe ask Tahiti some questions about the story. So anyone feel free to hop in.
Yes, I have a question. How many students did how many students ended up working on this, and was it for a class specifically, or what inspired them to start it?
Okay, so yeah, the chart was created by one person. So it was created by Dahlia. She's a graduate student who is under the supervision of a professor at our school. She is a part of a research team that basically does, as it is, they already do data analysis on big amounts of data. So basically, once the crisis happened, she was inspired because she just wanted to create a tool that was, easy enough for everybody to use and to be informed. But yeah, so aside from that, it was mainly her under the supervision of her professor, and that's how it was made.
Anyone else have any questions for Tahiti?
No questions, but I just think, again, I think Tahiti's stressed enough. I think for Cal State students, this is a great, it's sort of hard to kind of keep watching the news every night. And then there's a lot of numbers that kind of gets updated every day. So to know there's kind of a place where we can always go to, especially for the campus community, it just marks a great innovation or just piece of Cal State that we've done as as students and graduate students and professors and all that. The work together that we put accomplishes something always greater.
Yeah, I want to echo that, Josh. I think it's really cool that the engineering department put this together. Obviously, we're living in sort of scary times right now, and it's good to be as informed as possible. So I'm definitely going to go check it out myself to see how that's progressing. So with that said, if you're just joining us, you're listening to Time to Talk, a show about Cal State LA news and issues. We were just discussing a project developed by the Cal State LA engineering department. They created a map that calculates data related to coronavirus cases, including things like the death toll and people diagnosed in various countries around the world. We at the UT know that coronavirus can be scary, but we want to make sure that we continue to provide any information we have on the issue. That said, nothing is ever entirely negative, and COVID-19 has allowed some Cal State LA students to stay connected to friends and family through video games, which transitions us into our second topic. This story was developed by Joshua Letona, who's with us now, and Christopher Lazaro. Shout outs to Chris. Josh, why don't you tell us a little bit about the story and some of the people who were interviewed for it?
Yeah, I'll you already kind of said it, but big shout outs to Christopher Lazaro, a fellow staff reporter at the University Times, who did lots of really great reporting for this story. Really, I just want to focus on the two major accounts from this story, which are at the top, but really just want to highlight why video games as a medium have been so important. One is Derek Castro. He's a second year student at Cal State LA. He found himself home alone because his mother got stuck in El Salvador. He wasn't entirely home alone, my bad, but he was there with his brother, and he was able through gaming to connect with his cousin and a couple other family members and friends while in this time. So I guess especially knowing that his mother wasn't available, it's hard to imagine what a lot of people are going through. I know a lot of us are privileged to probably have parents and family and other loved ones with us around, but it's scary to know that when this situation happened, that you could have had someone who was stuck on the other side of a border or in an entirely different country, let alone maybe across the ocean. And video games allowed someone like Castro to really connect with what family he could, even in a state of quarantine. For people who are wondering, and I know it's in the article, but yes, his mother is now back home after a whole month, which is great news for him and his family. But like I said, video games have become this part to really just connect with people. I know myself have been using it to connect with my group of friends that I've been talking through with high school. I know me and Marisa have mentioned in past couple episodes, we've been playing Animal Crossing together. And that's just some of the power that some of the video games have, is being able to just connect. And it's not even really about the game anymore. In Castro's case, it's just being able to talk to somebody, even though they're not really there. Again, another case in this story involved a student who was in contact with a friend of his who had, correct me if I butcher this, because sometimes you just read the word, but muscular dystrophy, and he has a weak immune system. Thank you, Adrian. Yeah, so he already it's tough for his friend to go outside and live a normal life. But through video games, again, a friend you can connect to. And with coronavirus going on right now, it is a scary time, you know? Like, I know we worry about our grandparents catching it. I can only imagine if this person ended up catching coronavirus and what that would do. And as far as we know, everything's okay. And again, video games, like, they are such a powerful medium. I know on the entertainment section, I look at how art and culture are a big way of connecting people. And I know I'm reiterating this again, but it's just so powerful to see like students being able to still talk to each other and still hold friendships and connections, because especially in these two specific accounts, and I urge everyone to go and read the story that's available on our site. um, the accounts that Chris got for this story really speak to something more about just how we connect with one another. Like I said, it's not about necessarily video games at the end of the day. We use social media, video games, texting, phone calls. All of this is ways we can still keep in contact, even though it's not person to person. I think it's just a really beautiful thing, especially with these two accounts, for people who are just trying to reach out to people they really care about in their lives, but also still have ways to like have fun with them, even though it's not face to face.
Yeah, I want to second that and really encourage people to go check out the story. I got to read a little part of it, and I was really moved by some of the quotes. And I think I think that you pretty much touched on this, Josh. But I think it's really indicative that, like, yeah, people can be kind of crazy and sort of silly during coronavirus, like we saw with everyone like hoarding toilet paper and supplies and doing all this stuff. But I also think it opens up the avenue for more human compassion, and I think like this like maybe an upside of coronavirus is that people have really shown some honest strength and compassion towards their fellow human beings and family members, loved ones, friends, so on. So I was really moved in reading the story, and I highly encourage people to check it out. With that said, I want to get to our final topic of the day. So if you are just joining us, welcome. This is Time to Talk, the first ever Golden Eagle media podcast that brings together the University Times and Golden Eagle Radio to address campus topics and issues. I'm Adrian Bennett de Avila, and I'm joined by my co-hosts today, Marisa Vasquez, Joshua Letona, Richard Tzul, and Tahiti Salinas. We were just discussing some of the heartwarming stories about Castleton Valley students connecting via video games. However, we're now going to transition into the final topic of the day. We're going to have a little fun today, guys. I'll let Tahiti take it away from here since she's going to run this segment a little bit. So Tahiti, take it away.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Adrian. Okay, so since we are going to now transition into our entertainment block, I have compiled a couple of questions just so we can get to know the editors, aside from being editors. All right, so everybody gets 20 seconds each to answer the questions. The first 5 questions are pretty much like the basis questions that everybody asks when you get to know somebody. Then the next 5 get a little bit more, you know, it's gonna provoke you to think a little bit more. All right. So we'll start off with Adrian. And first question is, what hobbies or activities have you taken up right now during social distancing guidelines?
Okay, so I think for me, it's so funny that we just mentioned video games because I've been playing more video games that I hadn't been able to play earlier when we were busier and sort of like moving around a lot more and doing more day-to-day things. So yeah, I got to play Jedi Fallen Order recently, which I really loved. And yeah, so just more video games, I think, than normal.
All right, and we'll pass it on to Joshua now.
Cool. Yeah. I'll echo what Adrian said. I know I mentioned this a couple episodes ago, but I've been playing God of War, and I've never connected with my son more so than ever. I will protect Atreus with my life. Outside of that, I mean, it's really finally, TV has always been the hard spot, but I'm finally catching up on a lot of things. So that's always fun.
All right, Richard's next.
When I'm not working, I'm normally watching The Office with my mother.
Okay. Now, Marisa.
Wait. So I have been, as much as I've been, playing video games, been playing Animal Crossing, you say it all the time, but one of my guilty pleasures in life has always been musicals. And I love musicals. I was literally just watching the Phantom of the Opera that had like a live stream today, and I'm just like it's kind of my go-to for stress relief is just like going into the world of like stage. It's super weird. It's not anything that I deal with ever in like my regular normal routine of newsroom and classes and stuff, but like I'll cook and then I'll put like the Prince of Egypt on, which is now a musical. I had no idea it's actually playing in London, or it was playing in London. But the intro song is stunning and beautiful, and yeah. So I've been just immersing myself in musicals when I'm away from like work and homework. So that's been fun.
Nice. Okay. It looks like everybody's been really busy. All right. So my second question is, now that we're all home and everything, I feel like our conception of time has changed. So, in a couple words, how has it changed for you? Or if it hasn't, explain why. Adrian, take it away.
Yeah, so for me, I think it's just harder to develop routines. Like when we were more involved on campus and in school, it was always like, okay, I get up, I go. Well, for me, because I lived on campus, I go to the dining commons and that sort of stuff, which sort of kept me on pace. So now it's just finding ways where I can sort of force myself back into a routine. I think that's the main thing with time, because it's really easy to sort of just let things slip by, or get a little too distracted because there's no you don't go outside or anything. So yeah, so I think that's the main thing for me.
Alrighty, let's pass it on to Joshua.
What is time? I have no concept of it anymore. I only know today's Friday because we're recording. So, days kind of blur together because unlike Adrian, I do have like a routine. I have to get up early and cook breakfast for a family, and then before you know it, I'm off doing classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But honestly, outside of that, a lot of days just blur together in my head. Is it weird? Yes, but you know what? That's fine by me.
All right, pass it on to Richard now.
Well, what's been helping me keep track of time is our work. That is our deadlines, for example. Like, okay, this is due this day on that time. What's also been helping me keep a sense of time is news articles and news coverage outside of our own. That is, for example, I read or hear on Wednesday, President Trump held his press conference briefing, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, it's just that's helping me. I think that's my main indicator of what time and day I'm in and what's happened recently. But thankfully, for the most part, I do have a routine. I don't get up and cook like Josh, but I normally just get up and try to do some exercise if I'm able to. So stuff like that. I do try to keep a routine as much as I can.
All right, sounds good. And now on to Marisa.
I've been getting some like really bad what is it called, insomnia, where like I literally just can't sleep. So that hasn't been helping with like the days being separate because everything's just blending into each other. But I agree with what Richard said about like how like time stamping days by like what's happening in the news. I feel like that's definitely been helping, and our deadlines as well. Like we have to make like this is happening today. I have an article that's going online later today, and like another one that's going on later today. So trying to keep those deadlines up, and then also everything with school, making sure that I'm like keeping up to date with all of those classes and everything. That's kind of forcing me to have a sense of time and routine. If I didn't have that, I don't think it would be as definitive, like what days are which days anymore. Because like Josh said, like time is very relative. I mean, especially now. So yeah, it's it's a work in progress. I feel like it's just gonna keep on going until we're out of this whole quarantine situation, or not quarantine, self-isolation, safer at home. So.
Yeah, definitely. I know time is a little bit of a hassle right now. But okay, let's move on to Joshua's favorite food. All right, so now I'm just gonna ask you guys, what type of food is your favorite to eat and why? And Adrian, you can go ahead and take it away.
Wow, that's really tough. I've sort of recently rediscovered my love of cooking, and that's what my capstone project is about. So that's so hard. I think Man, I think that's really tough. It largely depends on what mood I'm in, but at the end of the day, I think like I can never turn down like tacos. I think tacos are so perfect. You get like a little bit of everything. You can have them spicy or a little milder. There's all kinds of salsas to choose from, onions, cilantro. You can get really weird with it if you want to do like fusion stuff. Like I've had like Korean style tacos before, or there's this great, well, it's not open now, but there was this great restaurant where I'm at in the Bay Area that has like a pastrami taco, which I know sounds insane, but it's actually delicious. So yeah, I'd say tacos are probably my go-to.
Alrighty, sounds good. Joshua?
Listen, I got two things in mind here. All right. One I make myself, and one is for my grandmother because my grandmother's cooking means everything to me. She makes me a torta de asada. Just that, some beans. It's all I need. All right. It's perfect. Anytime she makes it, I know it's a good day. My personal favorite, and it's the thing I make, listen, a grilled cheese sandwich with a slice of tomato. You can never stop with how many layers of cheese you could put in, right? I've upped right now. I got 4 different cheeses in my fridge. This is what I'm going for, all right? I got American, provolone, Swiss, and Monterey Jack cheese. All 4 layers of cheese with a slice of tomato. Pop it in my air fryer. It's golden.
That sounds very interesting. Thank you for that. And now on to Richard.
Well, to echo Adrian, it's very hard for me to choose one favorite. I don't think I can say I have a definitive favorite, but some things that stand out to me are, well, what my colleagues just mentioned, tacos, just really almost anything that's covered in cheese, I'll eat it. I also am very biased towards ramen, sushi, certain French fries and hamburgers, particularly what I call breakfast burgers, whether it's, say, a sunny side up egg on a patty with guacamole, hash brown, et cetera, et cetera. I think I'm gonna go get some later today now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, that's the first things that come off the top of my head.
All right, sounds good. That's a lot of food. All right, and now on to Marisa.
All right, just straight up like pupusas. I miss it so much. I'm in Rancho Cucamonga, and usually in LA, like there's a pupuseria like around the corner. In Rancho Cucamonga, they are nowhere, and they're so scarce and so sparse. I've been trying to figure out like who can deliver pupusas to me right now, and there's nobody, and it's so frustrating. So, I mean, I even had them in my wedding. You guys, some of you guys remember. I remember looking at my plate, seeing pupusas and tacos, and I almost started crying. It was like, it's my wedding day, and I'm eating freaking pupusas and tacos, and it was the best thing in the world. But yeah, I miss it so much right now. If there's one restaurant in particular in Glendale, I believe, or it's like Glendale, closer to the 5 freeway, called Buen Gusto, and they have the best pupusas ever. I would go there all the time with my dad and my family. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting so like homesick from it. But yeah, pupusas, period.
That's good, dude. All this food is making me hungry now. Sorry if my stomach starts grumbling. I'm just kidding. All right. So next question is it's gonna make you think a little bit, just because I feel like now that we're all at home, sometimes this can get a little bit, a little bit tough. So what does your joy look like today? And we'll take it off with Adrian.
Yeah, it's a really challenging question, but I think for me, honestly, right now, it's just hanging out with my brother. Because I mean, obviously we grew up together and stuff, but recently when I moved to Los Angeles, I didn't get to see him as much. And I've talked about this on a few episodes before, but it's just really nice getting to see him again and learn more about what he's doing and how he's doing and that sort of stuff. So just anytime I get to spend with my brother is a joy for me.
That's nice. And then on to Joshua.
I can't stress this enough, guys. It is Friday. A new episode of Star Wars: The Clone Wars just dropped today. It's been my comfort show throughout this whole thing, and knowing I can wait every Friday for a new episode has been great. It's the last 4 though, so it's making me kind of sad now. But it's pulling together everything I've ever hoped for this show, so that's my joy. like I said, I was catching up on a lot of TV, and with Clone Wars back, I can't be any happier.
Sounds great. All right, now on to Richard.
I'm a pretty simple guy, so just contact with my loved ones. That would be my family, like my grandmother, who I call virtually every day. Whenever I get to talk with you guys, either here or through a phone or through a text message. Sometimes when I'm watching The Office with my mother, for example, I also look forward to Brooklyn Nine-Nine every week. I also just enjoy reading a book. I'm currently reading American Vampire by Scott Snyder. So I'm a simple guy. It's the simple things that make me happy.
Sounds great. And now on to Marisa.
Hands down, my husband. I know it's like super corny and like I know, but like every time I'm stressed out or he's stressed out, like I go and I just like embrace him and I give him a hug and just like, okay, better. And then I can go back and do whatever I need to do. So it's honestly a blessing just like being with him during this time. We almost moved our wedding to summer and like this year's summer, and that would have been terrible because this would not have worked. So being able to be with him on a daily basis has been just amazing for both of us. The downside is we don't have our family. They're all, we're all separated from our parents and our siblings, but having him nearby has been probably the highlight of my day. Every day is seeing him. So yeah.
That's great. I'm glad that everybody's finding joy in some way or another. That's honestly really, really great, especially now that we're home and mental health is, the most important thing right now. Since we're running a little bit short on time, we're going to go ahead and cut onto the more fun questions that will make you think a little bit more. So I'm going to incorporate either 2 or 3, depending on how much time we have, and we can go ahead. All right. So this is like, I'm looking forward to your guys' answers right now. Okay. So first, think of a product. Now, what would be the absolute worst brand name for it? Adrian, take it away.
Okay, so Nike shoes popped into my head. So I guess I'd have to change the name of Nike to, I don't know, like, that's tough. Tortoise or something, I guess. Tortoise shoes. Like you'll never. I mean, yeah, that's the best I could do on short notice. That was a really tough question.
Yeah, tough question, but it's gonna make you think. All right, Joshua, take it away.
Okay, so this one's oddly specific because I looked around real quick and I saw a candle. And oddly enough, the only thing that came to mind is that scene from Shrek where he straight up rips out a whole stick of earwax and then lights a candle on it. So not necessarily a brand name, but I mean, just changing candles to just earwax lighters or something like that. Like that's what I got for you. That's what came to mind. I know it's gross, but visualize it if you want, because it's kind of funny.
We have a plan for the ketchup that was made after Shrek came out, and it was like green ketchup. Do you remember that? It was so gross. That might have been like, because like earwax candles, green ketchup. It was disgusting. It was
that's a lot of earwax, Joshua. That's all I have to say. All right, Richard, take it away.
Well, it's kind of ironic because when you asked that question, I quickly looked around like Josh, like, okay, what product is near me? And right by me actually is a stack of toilet paper. So it's just pretty timely considering the circumstances. The worst brand name, that's tough. I mean, probably instead of having to say the actual name of Charmin, actually having to chant Charmin, I just be quite irritating after a while, and it would leave it open to plenty of dad jokes that my own father would like to take advantage of. So yeah, that would be irritating.
All right, yeah, that would be. Marisa, what's yours?
What popped into my head was shampoo, probably just because I took a shower. I take my showers on the days that we do this. That's gross.
Yeah, yikes.
But I can't think of like a really like. Do I get to come up with my own brand name for this random shampoo that I get to decide? But okay,
Yes.
so let's say first thing that comes to mind is like hair goo. Hair goo. Clean
Right.
clean your hair with it. Hair goo.
It gets the job done as long as it does. Alrighty. Let's see how we're doing. All right. So right now I'm gonna do one small segment of hot takes, which is pretty much just what's your unpopular opinion about this certain TV show that I'm gonna give you. So let's see. I'm gonna choose a number. Let's see. Joshua, choose a number from 1 through 5.
Oh no.
3.
Okay. So the TV show is Friends. Adrian, take it away. What's your unpopular opinion?
About Friends?
Yes,
Okay.
you got 10 seconds.
Okay, I love Friends, but every season after 5 sucks. They're all bad.
Right.
Like literally, they're all terrible. Like the show becomes a parody of itself. But I love those first 5 seasons. That's my hot take on Friends. Every season after season 5 is bad.
All right, Joshua, take it away.
We just lost all our
One
viewers.
up you. Did we? We're about to lose them all right now. I'm gonna one up you, Adrian. Not only have I never seen Friends, I don't ever care to watch Friends. I don't care about all these people in New York who clearly can't afford that apartment. All right? Sitcom? No, that is not the gold mile. All right? I'm not watching Friends. It's not happening. I don't care. All right? David Schwimmer, Courtney Cox, you all seem like nice people. Not doing it.
All right. Okay, Richard, take it away.
Well, I don't think in good conscience I can give an unpopular opinion because that show is amazing. I will directly address Joshua's grievance, however. If you watch the show, you would know how they'd be able to afford it. First off, Chandler makes very good money and helps support Joey in that apartment that they live in. As for Monica and Rachel, they can afford it because it was actually passed on from Monica's grandmother. So yes, that is explained away. You should watch it. Perhaps you'll come to understand it more, Joshua.
All righty. Marisa, take it away.
There's going to be a very long conversation about this later on. I just know after the recording. There's going to be a very strong rebuttal from Josh, and I feel it coming. My hot takes on it is that although I love the show, I do love the show. It's highly whitewashed. I don't think they represented where they lived in Queens, I believe. Is that correct? Or
I
Greenwich
think Manhattan.
Manhattan or Greenwich Village?
I can't remember.
I've never been to New York, but I don't think they represented the population correctly. And then secondly, they should never have put Rachel with Joey. Don't know what that was about. It was very awkward for everybody. And then Phoebe is the best character, period. That's it. That's my hot take on it.
All right. Sounds good. Okay, well, thanks for listening, Golden Eagles. This has been Time to Talk, the show that deals with Cal State LA campus issues. I want to thank my co-hosts Adrian, Joshua, Richard, and Marisa for being here with me today. For the University Times and Golden Eagle Radio, I'm Tahiti Salinas, and as always, stay safe, everyone.